Hi, this is Terri. Welcome back to my channel. Today is a little bit of a grab bag of a conversation. This week has been a little all over the place, but not in a bad way. And it's been the perfect representation of an integrated life, which has been consulting, investing, researching for a new book, family, some friends, a little bit of me time, some of my investing stuff, and some learning and connecting. So it's kind of been all over the place. And at one point, I really felt like I was vibrating on a frequency that was pretty dang good. Had two really random coincidences. A woman founder that I know has a company called Silver Nest, and I got a newsletter that talked about the exit of this company. So I sent a note to Wendy and I'm like, hey, congratulations, was really, excited to see this. Hope you're doing well. Because I haven't talked to her in a while. And so then she responded back. She's like, so great to hear from you. Where'd you hear about this? Was it Halogen? Which it was. And by the way, love what you're doing with your newsletter. And do you know this gal, Kate? And so I looked up this gal on LinkedIn, and it turns out I didn't know her, but we're connected through like 40 different people. So I sent a note back and said, nope, I don't know this person, but would be, I'm totally open to an intro. Then not even 15 minutes later, by the way, my dog is having some issues over here. Not even 15 minutes later, I get a text from my friend Amy, aka Farmer Amy, with this Woman 2.0 article. And I go through and I read it, and it has this name of this like imposter breakthrough. I'm like, wait, I just saw that on Kate's LinkedIn, and who was there were 3 authors on it. Who was the top author? But this woman, Kate. And I thought, that's weird. Just super weird. And then in the same day, I had another weird thing happen. Earlier this week, a CFO friend of mine who I've worked with a couple of times reached out to me, and he's working with a biotech company, had some questions about a system. I ended up talking to the CEO for a couple of hours, reaching out to a couple people, sending us like, here's what I think you should do. And then my friend Lucilla calls me yesterday, and I'm like, hey, by the way, there's this guy at this company you worked with. Did you know him? And he's like, oh my gosh, he was a great guy. I didn't work with him personally, but I worked out with him in the gym. Please say hello to him when you talk to him next. And I was like, is this what happens when you're 50 and you've been kind of in the same space for over 20 years and you really haven't moved outside of the area that you grew up in, that all of a sudden there are all these weird connections? Or is there something else that I'm trying to be told about this? So I'm really paying attention to what could be perceived as coincidences or vibrating on this really, really weird frequency. What do you think, Ray? Other than we think the dog is having an allergy attack right now. What do you think about this vibrating on a frequency versus coincidences?
My instinct is it's just a really small world, and it's just happy accidents. We love Bob Ross. Yeah, I've been watching some Bob Ross.
Let me make note of that. Happy accidents. That might be the title of today's podcast, in addition to being feral. But
podcast.
I'm sorry, podcast, YouTube. It's Friday. It's almost 4:00 when we're recording this, and we are just like 45 minutes away from the IBPA, Independent Book Publishers Association, book awards for my category. And I know I'm guaranteed a silver, so I already know I have a silver, but they're going to announce the gold winner. So fingers crossed, because I'm going to circle back on, I think I talked about being up for the IBPA, which was the Independent Publishers Award, and I got nothing. So yeah, so after this one today, there's one more award that's the Living Something Award that we'll know about the end of July. But that's it for the awards that I've submitted for Piloting Your Life, the book, because it is a racket, and I spent way too much money submitting these awards, and I hope I get a gold. Otherwise, was it for naught?
It's still silver. It's not like you're getting thrown in the gutter if you don't get the gold.
And that's a really interesting thing, because I don't feel proud of the silver. I think I talked about it a couple weeks ago with the YouTube channel, that it was like, it just seems so inconsequential. And I know that seems silly, but if I win the gold, am I gonna think it's all that big of a deal? I don't know. Mm-hmm. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself on this, but I do have champagne in the fridge, and I did tell the family, well, I haven't told you, Ray, but we're all going to come in here and because if we're on when they're doing these live awards online, we're given an opportunity to say something, whether we win silver or gold. So just be prepared.
Okay.
I mentioned be feral. So one of these things, and Ray, don't mock me too much, my friend Jacqueline turned me on to is CoStar. And so you put in like your birth date and when you were, what time you were born. And, every day you kind of get this little summary of, what to expect in your day. And it's a little astrology oriented, which my kids mock me about. But yesterday's was be feral. And I really liked that. Because in this conversation with the CEO I had the other day, I kept pushing back and was like, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? And, after so many years of being kicked under the table to be more diplomatic, to be, to soften, to minimize, to make other people feel more comfortable, it felt really good because I do not have an engagement with this company. And I thought this is kind of fun to be able to just speak my truth, to speak authentically and confidently about what it was that I thought, asking questions and what I thought about what he should be doing. I did follow up and sanity check with a couple of my colleagues just to make sure that I was on the right page, and I was. And one of them, my friend Stella in particular, was like, Terri, you know this. Why are you even questioning this? And it got me thinking about, imposter syndrome, limiting beliefs, and, asking for help and all of this, which... I like the idea of being a little wild. I like the idea of being unstructured a little bit, which is interesting because I'm such a control freak. But just not having to play by other people's rules. And this morning, or this afternoon, I was doing a 10-minute meditation on simple habit. And one of the things it talked about was... not relying so much on conforming to other people's expectations. And it was really this beautiful meditation, and it just talked about this gal was like, I used to do this, I used to do this, I used to think this, and I was told this, and I was told this, and I was told this. And it got me thinking about, and I talk about this in Piloting Your Life, which is letting go of what other people expect, letting go of what society expects, and creating our own lives that we can live more confidently, comfortably, and satisfactorily in. And it's a hard thing when you're a woman who's been conditioned to please, who's, been kicked under the table so many different times, that you're like, but what do I really want? What do I really believe? And, speaking our own truths and speaking to what's most important to us, and really tapping into what our gut says, our intuition said, and really, what's inside of our hearts versus what's, what we've been told to do and what's expected of us. But then, of course, I kept going down this on, so there's like, do what's right for you. At the same time, I feel like a lot of times I do way too much on my own, and I have been socialized to be independent, to not rely on anybody else, that to rely on anybody else is a weakness. And so then it's just like, well, where's the balance? Where's the balance between going with what's what I want and what I decide versus asking for help or asking for other people's input to get a broader perspective and then make the decision based on what I ultimately want and what I feel is right for me. And I'm struggling with that one right now. The showing the vulnerability, continuing to say, I don't know what I'm doing half the time, like right now with the family, with the pandemic, and not really knowing, do I pursue this avenue for my consulting business? Do I pursue this avenue? You know, with the book that I'm researching, like, do I make it this big or do I make it this big? And there's so many different questions that I constantly have to answer. And is it that, you know, how much should I be asking other people? How much should I be talking to other people? And then it comes to, I shouldn't be shoulding anywhere. So, as I said, it's been like a grab bag. There's a lot going on in my head today, but in a good way. I think these are good things for me to be thinking about. And continuing to sort through. It shows I don't have it all figured out. Even at the age of 50, when I thought I would have a lot more figured out. I definitely didn't expect to suddenly develop allergies at the age of 50, which I think I have been suffering from. So I have a cough, but it's productive and it's tied to watery eyes and a headache and some sneezing, which are not signs of COVID. So, are you laughing at me?
I don't know what you're talking about. It just really sucks that you finally have to deal with allergies. No one else in the house knows how you're feeling at all. It's not like we've had allergies.
Okay, let me just point out, I'm blind as a bat. And, you know, I have other stuff. I didn't really need the allergies on top of it. It's like, I have enough. So, anyway, if you followed along this far, I appreciate you following on. Obviously, I have a lot going on in my head, but as I just said, but it's all good stuff. It means I'm not stuck. It means I'm looking for ways to move forward, and I will figure this all out eventually. Balancing asking for help versus feeling the need to do it all on my own, and that one's good. That one's good practice for me. So, anything else, Ray?
Nah, I think we're chilling.
Okay. Oh, I did want to mention that I think I'm going to be working on a vision board soon, and maybe that'll help me kind of pull all this stuff together and figure out what it is I want looking forward or moving forward. And I'm thinking about doing like a virtual vision boarding kind of session. So if this is something that you think you might want to be a part of, maybe what we do is we do it over Zoom and we set up our stuff. So if vision boarding is something that you're interested in, please let me know, and I'll put on a list. We'll try to figure this out. If you get some magazines or catalogs, definitely start keeping those so that you have something to play with, because I'm going to do like good old-fashioned scissors, glue, etc. If you want to do yours online, obviously you can, but start collecting stuff. And then as we're working through whatever this next phase of our sheltering in place is, depending upon where you are, we can start thinking about what we want more of in the future, start letting go of the things we want less of, and kind of be reimagining the way that we want to operate in the world. So just in case you have all this stuff swirling in your head, maybe this will be a good way to kind of find a way to, funnel it. I don't even know. Concentrate it, organize it, feel less chaotic. As you can tell, this was a fairly chaotic episode, and I appreciate you. Okay, it was a totally chaotic episode. So with that, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. Love having the comments, whether it's by email, text, phone, or I wish it was face-to-face, or you can just put them in the comment section. And as always, take some risks, let go of perfection, and above all else, have some fun.
And wash your hands.